The music of Ween is almost as diverse as the many colors of the homogeneous rainbow. Dean and Gene Ween's ability to move through musical genres at ease and with a high level of execution is almost unparalleled by anyone else in popular music. They pay sincere tribute to their influences via homage, parody, and humor in equal measure throughout their discography. For example, It's Gonna Be a Long Night could have easily come out of the hole below Lemmy's handlebarred mustache. Let Me Lick Your Pussy is just as saucy as any of the forgotten demos that are allegedly locked inside Prince's vault. Gabrielle sounds a lot like Thin Lizzy, a criminally underrated band in their own right, and Did You See Me would be at home on an Animals era Pink Floyd album. But beyond the flawless tributes, Ween have created some of the most original music I have ever heard. I'm Colin Lamb, and welcome to Ween Talk episode 41. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing Ween songs that sound like no one else. I'm going to go through Ween's studio discography and pick out some tracks that I feel represent Ween's originality best. Please let me know in the comments what Ween tracks you think have a strong influence by other artists, and what tracks are pure, artisanally grown, pumped by the man, for the man, pandularly faculated Chocolate-Town Brown Ween. Track number 1 off of God, Ween Satan, The Oneness, we have Squelch the Weasel. What is this song about? Who or what is the Weasel? Why must we juice him before he spawns? Bless me now, I'm sacred, confused but sacred. Stereo-tracked acoustic guitars playing a simple but beautifully plucked melody behind a haunting double-tracked vocal give this song a foreboding beauty. The guitar solo is literally as good as any solo I've ever heard, and the tone sounds like what I imagine a squelching weasel might sound like. I don't know whether or not Pauly Shore is implied, metaphorically or otherwise, but I don't care, because I love this song the moment I heard it. It's so simple. I learned the guitar actually by ear and recorded a cover, which I'll link somewhere down below. But this is one of my favorite songs ever, and to be honest with you, I've never heard another song like it. Track number 2, most of the pod, if we're being honest, but specifically Frank, and we're not going to talk about Boing. I did a video on my channel about Ween tracks I don't really listen to and called it The Worst of Ween. There are a lot of tracks on the pod that I don't fancy. People disagree with me. People have said less than charitable things to and about me as a result. But the pod might just represent Ween at their most creative state, living in a farmhouse after being banished from Mickey's home, left alone to record music without the baggage of a long career and fan and label expectations. Were there demons in the Tascam 4 track that possessed the young man? Was 3M upholstery cleaner inhaled to channel voices from a distant realm? Is there any other song that sounds like Frank? After receiving criticism for my views of the pod, I decided to go back and give it another chance. And when I did, Frank won me over with its plodding guitar lines and tasty, greasy, chewy lyrics. Once again, I was so compelled by that track that I recorded a cover for my channel, and I'll link to that somewhere below as well. But this is grease, this is cheese, this is Ween at their food-loving best. Track number 3, Ween songs that sound like no one else. From Pure Guava, I Saw Jeaner crying in his sleep. Although, again, most of this album is pretty damn original and unhinged. I've heard grown men cry in their sleep twice in my adult life, and that might be too many times if I'm being perfectly honest. Once I was on a bender with my good old buddy John Irvine. We ended up partying with a musician we met one night. We all passed out at my buddy's place after a long one, early in the morning. And I heard this guy that we really didn't know whimper and cry in his sleep for like 3 hours straight. I was annoyed, to be fair, but at one point he just calmly, stopped crying and woke up and left. The second time I was in a hostel in Switzerland, and late at night somebody kind of came into the room, and they were being quite respectful. They just kind of creaked the door open, turned the light off behind them so it didn't spill into the room, and then there was a bit of backlight still, and as they opened the door, they were kind of silhouetted, so it's just like a dark silhouette, and they stood in the door and kind of waited for their eyes to adjust. But there was this guy that woke up and saw this, and he just screamed bloody murder. I don't know who he thought was coming for him, but for the rest of the night, he was sniffling and crying. And there was a South African guy in one of the bunks down below. He was like a 50-year-old guy. Most of the people in hostels are young travelers, but this guy was, just being thrifty on a business trip. And he, at one point, he walked over to the guy and shook him awake and said, "Stop your crying! Stop crying in your sleep! If you must cry, you must go outside." Anyways, those are the two times I've heard somebody crying in their sleep. Never thought to write a song about it. Maybe a missed opportunity, but let me tell you, Ween will not miss the opportunity to write about interesting subject matter like that. These stories don't have anything to do with Ween, but every time I hear that song, I can relate. And nobody else is covering that kind of subject material. So once again, Ween for the win. Track number 4, Chocolate and Cheese's Spinal Meningitis, bracket, Got Me Down, end bracket. Of all the things that might get you down, spinal meningitis is definitely up there with the worst of them. This track deals with the great questions of mortality and illness, such as death and meeting God. The opening lick literally sounds like somebody creeping up on you and tingling your spine. Is it country? Is it a health awareness jingle? Did he die? Did he meet God? I searched the internet for any other songs about spinal meningitis, and there aren't any others. It should be noted that later on the same album, Ween also has a song about HIV. It's slightly less informative, but I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that they didn't go on to record a whole album about serious medical conditions. This is Ween doing whatever the hell they decided to do at the time they decided to do it. I love it. A lot of bands, I think, kind of, they get stuck in kind of vague subject matter. They piddle around the bushes of love and sorrow and stuff and things that are happening in their lives. And it tends to be broadly appealing and relatable, but somewhat boring. And you're not going to have to worry about that on a Ween album. So fantastic. Track number 5, 12 Golden Country Greats. 12 Golden Country Greats. The whole damn thing. Now, obviously, it's a country album, so it sounds a lot like country music. And instead of recording an album about serious medical conditions after Chocolate and Cheese, which seemed like the obvious move, they instead went down to Nashville to record a country album, employing some of the most famous country session musicians of all time. Anecdotally, in 2018, I traveled to Nashville to see Ween perform at the illustrious Ryman Auditorium, the hallowed halls where Elvis, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and every name in country music worth knowing has played or aspired to play someday. When I was there, I saw Ween play 12 Golden Country Greats, I believe in its entirety across 2 nights, and other songs from their repertoire. Mr. Richard Smoker echoed in the sacred church of country music those 2 nights, and a sold-out crowd of Ween fans stomped on the famous church pews and sang those somewhat less than country lyrics. I won't forget those nights. So again, obviously, it is a country album, but I think Ween's approach to it, the subject matter, the songs, I think it makes it pretty distinctively Ween. And let me tell you something. I had a fucking good time. Track number 6 from The Mollusk. The Mollusk. 1997 introduced us to bands like Smash Mouth and Third Eye Blind. After making a country album in Nashville, Ween retreated to a rented beach house on the shore of Holgate, New Jersey, to record their kind of nautical odyssey, which gave us classics like Buckingham Green, Ocean Man, Waving My Dick in the Wind, and of course, The Mollusk. It's a simple ballad with a beautiful melody, one of the most simply memorable guitar little licks in Ween. And the non-official Lego video is friggin' amazing. If you haven't seen that, I'll try to remember to link it down below. But this is, in terms of songwriting, in my opinion, it's a perfect song, and it's perfectly Ween. Track number 7 off the White Pepper, we have The Grobe. Is there a more easily listenable album than The White Pepper? I don't know, because for me, there's 0 skips and real Ween classics on this one. You know them. There's a few on here I could have picked, but for me, The Grobe shows Ween doing something a little different than they'd done up till now, in my opinion. It's a heavy track, but it's not leaning on influence or parody, like something like It's Gonna Be a Long Night, which sounds a lot like Motorhead to me, but it's got a great riff, and the rotary effect on Jeaner's vocal is perfect. I think it's a real unique song, and it kicks ass. It's mean Ween. It's gritty, and it's just a fucking cool track. Track 8 off of Quebec, tried and true. This might be my all-time favorite Ween track. It has a dystopian acoustic haunting sound. The vocal is uniquely Gene. Check out my episode on the voices of Gene Ween, I think it was called, for a more in-depth look on that topic. But the harmonies and overlapping background vocals are stuck in my head forever, and I love them. Plus, Diener puts a fucking clinic of guitar soloing on during his big part in the middle with a sitar sound, a muffled rotary effect, and this desperate squelched out tone that he uses at the end. It's fantastic. It's a perfect guitar solo. And I can't hide my love for this album, which is my personal favorite. I can't hide my love for this track. The second I heard it, the first time I heard just the little guitar intro, I was hooked, and I don't really think it sounds like anything else I've ever heard. Track 9, and off of the final official studio album from Ween, La Cucaracha, we have Object. And what more can I say other than they found your sweater? I was one of those kids reading the serial killer biography books in the high school, in the library at lunch. Why were they there? There was a whole set of them. Right? It was like 20 books, right? Ed Gain, all those names. Why were they there? What educational value did those have to children? You know, like I think, you know, there's like these career sections, like you might want to do this, or maybe if you're interested in that. And then there's the serial killer section, which I think is a little dangerous. If somebody was on the precipice of becoming a fucking plumber or an electrical engineer, and then they saw this 10-book, full-sized, picture on every page book about serial killers, they might go a different way. Anyways, this song is a languid, sinister, and quite frankly, not very jolly little diddle. My Ween tribute band used to play it, and we used to speed it up into a 2/4 kind of little country thing, just to give it a little zip and contrast the dark theme. But the solo sounds like a heroin-tinged junkie playing on a stained mattress in a crack den. And yeah, the lyrics are kind of ambiguous and sinister, but I love this track. And again, I don't think there's any other tracks like it. That is my list of Ween songs that sound like no one else. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Let me know what influences you hear in Ween's music. And let me know what Ween tracks you think sound like no one else. I'm Colin Lamb. Please check out other stuff I have on my channel. Please subscribe. Please click the like button if you feel like doing that. If you're new here, hey, fucking thank you for stopping by. On a personal note, I haven't made a lot of videos lately because I've been busy doing life stuff, and my wife and I are trying to buy a little house where I can hopefully be able to make more videos more regularly. But this is a topic that I was thinking about driving around in my work truck the other day. And yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Have a fucking mint.